vegetables, right? So we're talking about fibrous vegetables. So when we eat vegetables, we can eat a pretty large amount of vegetables, which provide our body with what? We've not really got into this, but what do vegetables provide our body? Besides fiber and vitamins and minerals, right? So it's a very dense amount of vitamins and minerals and a very low amount of actual calories, okay? So we're helping our body feel satisfied or at least less hungry by consuming these types of things. Now, when I eat protein and vegetables and drink water, I'm probably going to do a really good job at eliminating my motivational hormone, ghrelin. But what those two food groups don't really do is they do not stimulate very much leptin, right? By the way, fat, you mentioned fat. Fat's kind of like a neutral. It doesn't really do much of anything besides taste delicious. On a hormonal level, it does taste really good. It can give you like a reward signal, which is important. But I mentioned this earlier, how do we release leptin, right? Because a lot of us have been eating food, like I said, and we're like, oh God, I just don't want to eat anymore. I'm so full, but I just am still really dissatisfied. Okay? So what can I do to produce this leptin release? Carbohydrates are going to be the best source of leptin release, right? So leptin and insulin are going to kind of be pairs. So if I become insulin resistant, I will also become leptin resistant, okay? So we want to mitigate and manage the amount of carbohydrates that we're consuming to where our body will be sensitive to them, each time we eat. And we talked about how long we should wait between meals and whatnot. We'll get that into that a little bit further. But does anybody know what releases leptin? What cells of our body release leptin? Fat cells release leptin. Is that confusing to anyone?
Very.
Right? It's like, what fat? Like, fat, you're good. I don't want you, but I want you. Probably the most common reason why people become leptin resistant is because they are also insulin resistant. But another common issue for people who are chronically dieting and maybe get down to a very, very lean type of body fat level, and each and every single one of us has a level of body fat that's best for us, okay? One of the worst things we can do in life, and that's life in all areas, is start to compare ourselves to other people. Who does that on a regular basis? Okay, we all tend to compare ourselves to others. I hear a lot from clients who may be struggling with weight loss. They say, oh, it's so easy for everybody else. Like, I hate them. Why are they always getting leaner? And I'm just over here like slaving away doing this, that, and the other, and I just gained 1% body fat or something like that, right? They wouldn't be that disappointed in themselves or their results if they put on their blinders and realize that those people are not them, and they have blessings in their life that may be a physical aspect, but maybe their particular blessings is not physical, but maybe mental or emotional or spiritual or some other aspect of their life, right? So we all have these little gifts, but try not to compare your gifts to anybody else's gifts, right? There's always somebody worse off than you, and there's always somebody who's going to be a little bit better off than you in whatever area that we're doing. So I know it's impossible not to compare yourself, but what I want y'all to do is when you start to compare yourself, kind of have that conversation. They are them, okay? I have no idea what other struggles they have and are having a hard time overcoming in their life that probably I'm doing better at. So it doesn't matter who's doing what, right? So just appreciate what you got and do the very best that you can with whatever you have. So when our bodies become very low in body fat, we stop releasing leptin, okay? So the reason why our fat cells release leptin is to say we're fat enough, right? If our fat cells feel like there's not enough of them, okay, that's one of the main stresses, right? If we start to lose what our body considers to be essential fats, what would happen to us if that continued? We would starve to death, okay? So fat cells are designed to keep our fat cells at a very particular size. If my fat cell dips below the amount of size that it should be, doesn't matter how many vitamins, minerals, or water, or protein, or vegetables, or carbohydrates I eat, I will not be satisfied. my body will literally not send a satisfaction signal to my brain until I have enough fat. Okay? Like I said, everybody's at a little bit different point here. And I'll tell the same story again because you guys forget things. So I'll tell you the same story. So let's say that this is a healthy sized fat cell. So if I eat an excess, right, and my fat cell grows, my satisfaction level will go up, which will naturally make me eat less food, right? So when I eat less food, naturally speaking, I'm gonna lose fat, okay? If I continue to eat less food, my appetite level is gonna go up, and then I'm gonna naturally eat more food. So really, I'm just gonna be kind of playing around in flux with this particular fat cell. Do you think some people are born with more or less muscle fibers? Right? We're not all born with the same amount of muscle. Okay? And so people who are born with very few amounts of muscle, it's really hard for them to grow muscle. Right? They can maximize the amount of muscle that they have, or if someone's born with a lot of muscle cells. Okay, I know, and I get jealous of these people who just like, they don't work out for 3 weeks and they're still bigger than I am. That makes me upset. You know, but that's just genetically how we were built. It's the same thing with fat cells. Some people are born with less fat cells. Other people are born with more fat cells. So if you're someone who is just born with more fat cells, comparing yourself to someone who is born with less fat cells, and you want to be the same size as that person, in order for you to become the same size as that person, your fat cells have to be smaller than they want to be. Why is that a problem? So you'll look like the other person you want to look like, but are you going to be able to sustain it? Why not? Because you'll literally have no satisfaction hormones pulsing through your blood until your fat cells are at the size that they want to be. Okay, can I be overweight and healthy? Is a question a lot of people might think about. The answer is actually yes. In fact, if we go on BMI, not body fat percentage, but BMI, you have a higher likelihood of surviving a cardiovascular event or any kind of event if you are overweight or even mildly obese than you do if your BMI is in the normal category. So you have a higher likelihood of survival of major like trauma type of events if you're overweight or moderately obese versus someone whose BMI is in the normal weight category. A couple jaws are open here. Okay, so there's an entire book written on this. It's called The Obesity Paradox. If you want to read it, it's a very interesting read. So The Obesity Paradox, Amazon Prime. But check it out, go to Amazon, look at it if that's something that you were interested in. But I'll tell you one of the reasons why is physical fitness.